This bulletin is coming to you live from the Joy 99.7 FM studios here in Kokomlemle at digital address GA0993341. Also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country, including A1 Radio in Bolgatanga, Volta Premier in Ho. It's on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, DigiBank, Let's Go, and Telesol 4G. Just a touch. In this edition, one more person dies from COVID-19 in Ghana, bringing the death toll to 17. We've got details as Ghana's case count moves from 2 to more than 2,000 in 50 days. 3 units at the Child Health Department of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital shut down after a child died of coronavirus. Study reveals many Ghanaians across the country are not washing their hands long enough, as spelled out by the World Health Organization to prevent spread of COVID-19.
What we recommend is that the education should be intensified. That is one. And then also, as individuals, we need to try as much as we can to change our attitudes and then frequently wash our hands.
Also in the bulletin, how sure are you that the brand of face mask you're wearing is protecting you?
So when I open this, there's absolutely no filter. So it doesn't give you the amount of protection you need against the virus.
First, I was using the towel. You know the face towel, the very thick one. And people started laughing. They said, why are you using big face towel?
But actually, I'm not aware whether it's been approved by FDA or not.
No, I can't really tell whether it's approved or not approved.
We'll hear from some people on the streets over crime sports.
Calls for Ghana FA to cancel the Ghana Premier League after demand from CAF on member associations to take a decision on the status of their league.
And on the spotlight today, we shine a light on a young female songstress, Sina Soul, who is using her music to tell stories about the little things that make life beautiful.
I'm not one of those children that grew up saying that I definitely want to be an artist. I grew to realize that I think I could sing.
Let me kiss your soul, you need that.
We'll hear from the 23-year-old whose Ghana roots inspire the songs she makes. It's coming up here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apawu. And Ghana's COVID-19 death toll is up by 1. 17 deaths have been recorded since the month of March when the country recorded its first case. Ghana's case count has also increased by 403. We are now at 2,074. Head of Joy News Health Desk, Fred Smith, joins us with the details. First, run us through the last update given on Tuesday and how significantly this has changed.
The case count previously stood at 1,671, but it has now risen to 2,074. The number of deaths was at 16, but it's now 17, and as you mentioned, we've had one more. In terms of recoveries, we previously had 188. This has increased to 212. That's good news.
That's good news, yes. But has there been an increase in terms of the affected regions?
Well, we're still at 12 regions, with unaffected regions being Savannah, Bono Ahafo, and Bono East.
So from Ghana, let's paint the global picture then.
Well, the global case count is now more than 3.2 million cases. Nearly 230,000 deaths have been recorded, with recoveries standing at more than 1 million. That's about 1/3 of all cases. And the United States remains the country with the most cases at more than 1 million cases so far.
Now, stay with me, Fred. We'll head to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital because we are told that 3 units at the Child Health Department of the hospital have been shut down after a child brought there for an unknown ailment died of coronavirus. Now, the emergency, neonatal, intensive care and the pediatric care unit where the boy was taken care of has been sealed off, we're told. Give us the details. What more do we know?
Well, the child was brought in by his mother, who did not know which ailment the boy was suffering from. He exhibited symptoms of rabies at the start, but after the mother denied knowledge of his son being bitten by a dog, the medical staff then decided to take samples and test for COVID-19 as a precaution. Now, it took some time for the results to come in, and in between this time, the patient was given CPR and was also put on a ventilator. When the results came in, he had unfortunately passed, and he was positive MFA. And because some of the doctors and nurses there had been exposed, they've been quarantined while the facility and equipment there are disinfected. This, our sources say, has not affected patient care. In fact, children who need services from the affected units are still being taken care of in a new area designated for this purpose.
And we understand the Kolebu Polyclinic also had a similar situation.
Yes, this was almost 2 weeks ago when a patient tested positive for after some doctors and nurses had taken care of this patient. The exposed staff were tested, and after some turned positive, the testing was extended to all staff at the facility to be sure that anyone who had the virus is also isolated for treatment. 6 of them tested positive according to our sources, and as we speak, the facility has been reopened, and those staff who tested negative have returned to work today. On my visit there today, I saw a part of the polyclinic still cordoned off, Emefa.
Okay. Thank you very much. Fred Smith is head of our health desk. I will stay on COVID-related issues because Ghana has conducted autopsies on 2 COVID-19 bodies. Officials say the procedure will help experts to better understand the effects of the virus on people and recommend the right treatment. The Director of Institutional Care Division at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Samuel Kaba Akochiria, put together a team of pathologists to conduct the autopsy.
People usually say that life must be understood backwards but lived forward. And we need to listen to the language of the deaf. And pathology is the language of the deaf, telling us exactly what happened. So one, if you come in and you do the pathology, the first thing is that it helps you to understand the cause of death. 2, we've been talking about comorbidities. And we don't know whether it is the comorbidity that killed the patient or is the COVID or both. We will need to understand. So, and we also need to understand, is it from the lungs, from the heart, or from where? Pathology studies elsewhere has also shown that, let's say in the U.S., the first COVID-19 patient who died, and they did the pathology, they realized that the heart ruptured. But in all the instances, treatment was geared towards the lungs. Recently, results have come from many countries, China, Italy, and U.S., about pathology results, and they've seen that when we were talking so much about ventilators, there is also the need to start thinking about anticoagulants.
So you had Dr. Samuel Kaba there. He's one of the heads of one of the director of Institutional Care Division at the Ghana Health Service. I beg your pardon. My colleague Latif Idris has been speaking to one of the doctors who actually carried out the procedure. He joins us in studio with details of that. So Latif, you've been monitoring this particular situation. You interacted with Dr. Samuel Kaba on this. You've also been interacting with some of the doctors who actually carried out the procedure. What did you discover?
So, Emefa, as we speak, the process has been completed. That is the autopsy process. Everything is done. What is now left is for the other bodies to come together and study what has been taken out of these 2 bodies.
Okay.
That is what we know for now. And so I engaged 2 of the team members who conducted this autopsy, and they told us that this could play a major role in understanding exactly how Ghana's own COVID-19 situation is, and going forward how we can treat it.
Definitely, this is a principal part of the fighting with the COVID. We can now do our research, our investigation to support the treatment we are doing giving to the patients. So once you have the confirmation of the clinical diagnosis we are having, definitely you can support the doctors and you can give your help to the patients, because this is our main reason to be here. So once we are doing our research, we can see the way the disease is behaving in our country, so particularly in Ghanaians here, because every country is doing our own, everyone is having their findings. So we are now having our own, so we can go forward in a best treatment for our patients.
So, Latif, when exactly was this test conducted?
So the autopsy happened this morning at the Ghana East District Hospital.
Okay.
You know, that is hosting most of Ghana's COVID-19 patients. And what we also understand is that in the next few minutes, they are bringing together a team who are going to study these body parts that have been taken out of the bodies, and then immediately the test and everything will be conducted. They are treating this with a sense of urgency because they want to, as the president has said over the period, get ahead of the pandemic. And this, they say, is one of our surest way of achieving that.
Thank you very much, Latif Idris, my colleague there, following that first autopsy that's been conducted on 2 COVID-19 bodies. Now, about 110 people, including staff at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, have been isolated after a patient tested positive for COVID-19. The first case, which was confirmed yesterday, has been transferred to a treatment center. Director of the Mental Health Authority, Dr. Akwesiose, reviewed this on Newsdesk on the Joy News channel. He says administrators at the treatment center were hesitant to admit his patients.
So they tested them, they sent them, I think it came to about, after that time they thought it was 87. But as the team came and they began testing, other contacts also came. So a total of over 100, about 110 or so. Staff and patients, the patients themselves at the ward, they were 11. So they were all tested, and then staff and other contacts within the hospital. So about 110. The original patient has been sent to a treatment center. And that was another issue. We needed to go through a little hassle before eventually.
Yes, I was just going to come to that, because the news we have, the information we have is that initially this patient was rejected because of her status or condition as a psychiatric patient. How true is that?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And these are the challenges we face within the mental health sector. And I'm hoping that when the COVID, things onset structures and systems, but that's a different story. And I'm hoping that one of the things that will change is our attitude towards the mentally ill. So this patient was before you transfer a patient from your facility to the treatment center, you need to go through your district or municipal directorate, health directorate. So they need to come and look at that and approve that yes, this is a patient who needs to be referred to the treatment center. So when they were invited, they came, they said no, because the patient is a psychiatric patient and they can't handle the patient there. Meanwhile, every health worker has been given at least some basic knowledge in mental health care. But this is purely out of discrimination. They didn't want to. And eventually we needed to seek the intervention of the chief director of the Ministry of Health before eventually the patient was admitted to the treatment center. The patients on the ward, so now the ward itself has had to be declared as an isolation ward. You can't bring any patients there.
Okay.
But for the staff, they all have had to go into self-isolation until their results are in.
That's Dr. Akwesiose. Meanwhile, the Human Rights Watch is urging Ghana to rethink the current system that often restricts people's freedom and choices, and instead invest in services that will let people with disabilities live independently. Director in charge of persons with disability at the Human Rights Watch, Shanta Bariga, told my colleague Ernest Menu on Newsdesk that government and health must not discriminate in the treatment of persons infected with COVID-19.
Well, I think it's incredibly important that there be no discrimination against anyone with a mental health condition or psychosocial disability. The fact that the treatment center initially refused her is blatant discrimination, and that can no longer take place. And we hope that she and any other patients who have COVID who come forward, who may also happen to have a psychosocial disability or a mental health condition, that they're also treated the same way anyone else is. They should be given the care and the medication and the support that they need, and that might include support related to their mental health condition, and that might relate to what they might need to address COVID. But both of those issues should be addressed without any discrimination.
That's Shanta Bariga. She's director in charge of persons with disability at the Human Rights Watch. Now, a study by researchers from various universities in Ghana has revealed that many Ghanaians across the country are not washing their hands long enough as recommended by the World Health Organization. The good news, however, is that the rate of hand washing since Ghana recorded its first case in March 2020 has increased. WHO recommends at least 20 seconds of hand washing with soap and water, but this study says is not the case in Ghana. My colleague Joseph Akable joins me in studio with more on this. Run us through the key findings, Joseph.
So it was found in a study that most people do not wash their hands in accordance with the standard of not less than 20 seconds per hand wash. Interestingly, some people living in Ghana were not practicing frequent hand washing prior to the COVID-19 pandemic cases being recorded in Ghana. And in terms of what has been the situation since the case was recorded, a lot of people are now practicing the regular hand washing. If this trend continues, then there's a likelihood of many Ghanaians and non-Ghanaians becoming more exposed to not only COVID-19 disease but also to all disease associated with personal hygiene. This may result in high fatalities in disease pertaining to personal hygiene, and so they are recommending that they should wash their hand more as they are doing, but they should wash it at least 20 seconds.
Thank you, Joseph. But let's speak to Francis Dadzi Minta. He's a lead researcher. Interesting findings there. But let's first talk about how the study was put together in terms of the methodology.
Okay, thank you very much, Emefa. This study was conducted by postgraduate students across the country, and that is across the various universities in the country, and they use a multi-stage sampling technique. So we considered the various regions in Ghana, that is the 16 regions in Ghana, and we were able to sample 1,042 respondents. So we administered a questionnaire to them, that is, we used a quantitative approach where we administered questionnaires to them. Some of the study was conducted before the lockdown period, so we used the online survey method, and then some were also conducted during the after the lockdown period. So we administered the questionnaire to them manually, and then we came out with these findings.
It's interesting to know that most people are not washing their hands according to the WHO standards, though. But going forward, knowing what you have gathered, what ought to be done, you think?
Okay. What needs to be done is we know that the media houses are putting in much effort, making a lot of media advertisement, and they're making a lot of education on COVID-19. However, the government of Ghana is making a lot of impact. However, we've not seen much of the NCCE putting in much effort into this education. So what we want to recommend is a lot of education need to go into this, and then let people know the essence of they washing their hands frequently. We can even use the information systems within the communities in Ghana. That is because not every community has that they have radio stations, or they have access to radio stations, or they have access to TV stations. So they have access to radio or TV or television. So what we want to recommend is that much education needs to go using the local system as well, the NCC using their vans to educate people on the frequent hand washing. Because these are the people, those living in the deprived communities, they are the people who normally bring food to us. That is those living in the cities. And then sometimes they come and then they contract the disease and they have to go back with the disease. And then since most of them, up to now, most of them don't even know what the disease is about. Some people think it's just a fallacy, or it is something that doesn't exist. So we want to say that education needs to go on, and then we need to change our attitudes as Ghanaians. We need to try as much as we can to wash our hands frequently, because we are doing it for our own selves.
Well, thank you very much, Francis Dazi Minta. He's a lead researcher. They've conducted a research that reveals that many Ghanaians across the country are not washing their hands long enough as recommended by the WHO. You're required to do so for at least 20 seconds. You can be singing the Happy Birthday song, and then you can do that. But let's head to Parliament now, where Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu is urging the Speaker to summon the Electoral Commission to appear before MPs to brief them on preparedness towards the 2020 elections in the light of COVID-19 concerns. He's been speaking on the floor as the House resumed sitting this morning.
The government say that if you say because of a parasite your mother shouldn't cook, you yourself you are likely to go hungry. The Constitution provides that presidential and parliamentary elections will be held this year, even as we struggle with COVID. The Independent Electoral Commission, created under Article 45 of this Constitution, owes this country and members of parliament a duty. They would have to be summoned to come and give us their roadmap as to their preparedness in view of COVID. Our democracy will evolve, and our democracy will survive COVID. They need to apprise this House their level of preparedness for the 2020 presidential and parliamentary elections. If we cannot get them to come and brief the committee of the whole, at least they must come to the Special Budget Committee. The last time I saw officials of the EC, they were walking in the corridor between the clinic and the NIB. We need to know from them what their preparedness is. And Mr. Speaker, finally, as we met, the CSM development in the Upper West region, the Honorable Leader led the way. We will need to know what.
So you have the Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu. Joseph Opoku Gakpo is in Parliament for us. Let's talk about the Minority Leader's request for the Electoral Commission to appear before MPs. What was the response to that?
We got a response to that from the Majority Leader, Osei Mensah-Bonsu, who agreed that it's about time that the EC shows up to update MPs. And the Majority Leader did not give any specific timelines on when that could be done, except to say that this is something that is really required and that in due course the right things would be done. But he went on to make the point that President Akufo-Addo is not interested in extending his mandate by even a day, and so under whatever circumstance that may become necessary, the issue will go ahead and prepare so that the nation votes so the president can hand over power by the 7th of January.
Well, I know on the agenda is also the issue about tax waivers, COVID-19 related tax waivers government is seeking from Parliament. Tell us more about it.
And so the documents have been laid in order to allow for that. You know, when government receives various donations and it's imported into the country, there needs to be the payment of import duty on that to the tune of about 18.5% of the said amount. And so the request has been placed before Parliament for a waiver on the various items that have been received in donations. Also, there's been a request for the waiver of income taxes on the personal emoluments of health workers for the month of April, May, and June 2020. And also a request for waiver of income taxes on additional allowances paid to frontline health persons for the first 3 months. Those requests have been referred to the Committee on Finance for the necessary deliberations and approval, as well as a request for a waiver of the penalties that would result when businesses don't file their taxes on time, as is required by the laws governing the Ghana Revenue Authority.
And Joseph, MPs also wants the health minister to appear before them today. Is he there?
Samuel Kujeto-Ablakwa made that request earlier in the morning, but as we speak, Dr. Bernard Okoboy, who is Deputy Minister for Health, is delivering a statement on behalf of the Health Minister indicating that the necessary measures to contain COVID-19 as well as the cerebrospinal meningitis are yielding the necessary results and that both situations are under control.
And finally, before I let you off, Joseph, the issue about the House adjourning indefinitely is coming up again. We all know how this issue incurred, the Speaker incurred the wrath of the minority for suspending sitting, but the majority leader has been making a case for an indefinite adjournment. Tell us a bit more about it.
It looks like while the minority has been looking for all this while, they are likely to get that today after today's sitting, because the majority leader now agrees that now that they've dealt with all the outstanding emergency issues relating to COVID-19, from the tax waivers to the setting up of the COVID-19 National Tax Fund and the appointment of a new deputy minister, after today's sitting, he's asking that the Speaker adjourns the House indefinitely in order to allow for MPs to go on break until sometime late May 2020.
NASA parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku Gakpo. Our top stories in this package. One more person dies from COVID-19 in Ghana, bringing the death toll to 17. We brought you details as Ghana's case count moves from 2 to more than 2,000 in 50 days. 3 units at the Child Health Department of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital shut down after a child died of coronavirus. Still to come, how sure are you that the brand of face mask you're wearing is protecting you?
So when I open this, there's absolutely no filter, so it doesn't give you the amount of protection you need against the virus.
First, I was using the towel, the face towel, the very thick one. And people started laughing. They said, "Why are you using big face towel?"
But actually, I'm not aware whether it's been approved by FDA or not.
No, I can't really tell whether it's approved or not approved.
And later we shine a light on young female songstress Sina Saul, who is using her music to tell stories about the little things that make life beautiful.
I'm not one of those children that grew up saying that I definitely want to be an artist. I grew to realize that I think I could sing.
Let me kiss your soul, you need that.
UMB was established in 1972 as the premier bank for the corporate and private sector in Ghana. From our very beginning, as the only Ghanaian bank serving all categories of businesses, we set a standard for excellence and innovation. Over the past 45 years, we've built a financially healthy and strong bank, demonstrated our commitment to our customers and to growing businesses, and exhibited originality and innovation at every turn. At UMB, our focus is built around people, service, products, and technology. These are the key to our present success and our future triumphs. At UMB, we're poised to make a difference not only with our customers, but also in the banking industry. We invite you to share in our future. Our future starts now with you.
With the all-new Supersport Relove, we reorganized all 12 channels to bring you your favorite moments from football, athletics, WWE, and more. Supersport 1 is now available on DSTV Compact, and Supersport 3, the Premier League channel, is on DSTV Family, while 7 is on Access. Get DSTV and relive the greatest stories in sport, from Ali to Zidane and more, with the new Supersport Relove.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. Time now for some sporting action amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Hans Mensando.
And reactions have come in following the Confederation of African Football's letter to its member associations inquiring about the status of their national leagues and the strategies they intend to apply to finalize the competitions, be it through completion or norming. The Ghana Football Association and other associations have until the 5th of May to report back to CAF. 11 Wonders head coach Ignatius Osei wants the FA to tell CAF of their decision to discontinue the current season.
I have maintained one thing. My stand is that if this was spanning more than 2 months, I think it's better to cancel the league and start afresh. But as it looks like now, we all don't know when this thing will be over, so that people's life will go back to normal. Let people not forget that a lot of the clubs in Ghana tried on gate proceeds. So for us in Ghana here, 3 matches are under closed doors. Is out of the equation, because again most of our matches are not televised live. So 3 matches under closed doors is not an option. And if it's not an option, can we the clubs or a lot of the clubs afford travels and sleep? For example, we travel to Accra, the Wonders travel to Accra, all the expenditure for 3 matches without gate proceeds. Is it possible? If that is not possible, then why rush getting the league when it is not safe?
Meanwhile, head of the Ghana Football Association's medical committee, Dr. Adam Baba, has advised clubs to monitor their players to ensure they are active and ready for the return of football.
After COVID-19, what next? We must also adopt means of monitoring the sportsmen, our footballers. We just don't ask them to go home, stay till the situation improves, and we call them back. If we call them back, it's just like releasing them off-season and coming to start afresh again. The way forward is for team managers, handlers, to monitor their players. The coach or the managers must be in direct contact, calling them, let them send you pictures and videos of how they spend their time. Exercises is not forbidden, but just that you must limit the number of people you gather at a particular place to exercise.
Dr. Adam Baba is the head of the Ghana Football Association's medical committee. That's your sport.
Thank you very much, Hans. And if you've driven through town lately, you would have seen that almost everyone is now wearing a face mask. It's common to see hawkers in traffic yelling the praises of their masks. But how do you tell if what you're buying meets the FDA specifications? We hit the street to speak to some people about the quality of their face masks.
I bought a mask about 3 days ago, but then I started using it today because I'm coming out to town today. No, I'm not really sure if it's been approved by FDA, because I just heard on the news that the ones that are being sold by the tailors, it has to be 3 layers before we can use them. So that's why I got mine from the tailors. But actually, I'm not aware whether it's been approved by FDA or not.
No, I can't really tell whether it's approved or not approved. But because they are selling it, so we all buy. So they tell us whether it's approved or not. We are still waiting.
I just called a lady tailor to come and then get a whole fabrication done for me. So I'm not too sure if it's approved unless FDA comes to me and then come and check it.
But apart from this reality, it appears the wearing of face masks is gradually more fashion than a safety. The FDA recommends that you wear a mask lined with a filter. My colleague Odilia in Tiamwa spoke to entrepreneur David Osute, who got FDA approval to make face masks.
Well, we sent samples to the FDA, and we didn't actually get it right the first time. We sent different samples, and they advised us as to the kinds of filters they actually need. The kinds of filters lab has actually approved to be used. So we had to then go back and make some changes. For the FDA approved nose mask, when sewing, the length should be about 10 inches Okay, the length should be about 10 inches, and then the width should be about 6 inches when sewing. And there should be filters in there. Okay, so I'm going to cut this. You'll probably be angry with me.
Fine, I know you'll give me a second one.
So we cut this one. And you say you got this for 5 cedis?
Yes.
Okay. So when I open this, there's absolutely no filter. It's absolutely none. Okay. So it doesn't give you the amount of protection you need against the virus. Okay, it doesn't give you the amount of protection you need. So the inner layer is absolutely like the outer layer.
That's right.
So this doesn't give you the amount of protection you actually need.
Now, she may be only 23, but already she's going places with her brand of music. Sina Soul burst onto the music scene in 2014 when she emerged finalist of a music reality show, Vodafone Icons. But after a series of mashups and covers of some mainstream songs, Sina Soul is now holding out for herself a brand of music that is inspired by her Ghana roots.
Sina Soul is a mixture of a modern Wulame, a little bit of Asha, drop a little Rihanna in there, little Sia, and now Manoa from Wulame.
A sound inspired by her Ghana roots, and she's unashamed about it. Sina Soul wants to be known for her unique style of bringing together elements of true life stories to inspire, motivate, and teach.
I think with my background of psychology, sometimes the things I see is because of me noticing things around me.
Love, fidelity, and everything in between. The enchanting voice of Sina Soul weaves it all together.
Because your soul, you need that.
Some people see my music as therapeutic. Yeah, psychology in music is some sort of therapy as well.
In this one, Killing Me, the vocalist teaches about marital and spousal abuse. She admits this has not always been her dream.
I'm not one of those children that grew up saying that I definitely want to be an artist. I grew to realize that I think I could sing.
Yeah. There's not been much controversy from the camp of a silky-voiced 23-year-old just yet, but sure she would be able to keep up producing good music for her fans.
Sina Soul wrapping up the midday news for the month of April. We welcome a new month as we celebrate 25 years of media excellence. I am Emefa Apawu. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com.
What you want it?